Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel, History of the Ancient World. Today, we're marching onto the battlefields of the past to explore the lives, tactics, and legacies of the most formidable ancient warriors. From the sun-scorched sands of Egypt to the misty hills of Britain, warfare was a constant and defining feature of the ancient world. It shaped empires, forged cultures, and created legends that still echo through time. So, grab your shields and sharpen your minds, because we are about to journey back to an age of heroes, hoplites, and horsemen. Let's begin our campaign in the cradle of civilization. Mesopotamia. Here, amongst the Fertile Crescent, the first organized armies emerged. Imagine the Sumerian phalanx, a dense formation of soldiers with heavy shields and long spears, a tactic that would be perfected thousands of years later. Then came the Akkadians under Sargon the Great, who created one of the world's first professional standing armies, allowing him to forge an empire that stretched across the region. But perhaps the most feared were the Assyrians. They were the masters of siege warfare, employing terrifying tactics and sophisticated machinery like battering rams and siege towers to conquer seemingly impregnable cities. Their iron weapons gave them a brutal edge, and their military prowess was legendary, making them the undisputed superpower of their time. The Assyrian soldier wasn't just a fighter, he was a highly trained, disciplined part of a state-run military machine. Now, let's set sail across the Mediterranean to ancient Greece, a land of citizen soldiers. The iconic Greek warrior is the hoplite. These men, typically farmers and artisans, were heavily armed with a large round shield called a hoplon, a bronze helmet, greaves, a chestplate, a long spear, and a short sword. Their strength wasn't just in their individual equipment, but in their collective formation, the phalanx. Picture hundreds of hoplites standing shoulder to shoulder, their shields interlocking to form a solid wall of bronze and wood, with a forest of spear points bristling from the front rank. This formation required immense discipline, courage, and trust in the man standing next to you. Battles like Marathon and Thermopylae became legendary, not just for their outcomes, but for the sheer bravery of these hoplites defending their homeland and their way of life. They weren't just fighting for a king, they were fighting for their city-state, their polis, and their freedom. But the Greek phalanx, as powerful as it was, had its limitations. It was cumbersome and vulnerable on the flanks. This weakness was brilliantly exploited by the Macedonians under Philip II and his son Alexander the Great. They reformed the phalanx, equipping their soldiers with the sarissa, an incredibly long pike, sometimes up to 18 feet in length. This created an even more impenetrable hedge of spear points. But the Macedonian genius was in combining this super phalanx with other military units. They employed elite cavalry, the companion cavalry, to smash into the enemy's flanks and rear while the phalanx held them in place. They used light infantry, archers, and slingers to harass the enemy and protect their own forces. This combined arms approach made the Macedonian army the most versatile and deadly fighting force of its age. It was this military innovation that allowed Alexander to carve out one of the largest empires in the ancient world, stretching from Greece all the way to India. As the Hellenistic empires waned, a new power was rising in the West: Rome. The Roman legionary is perhaps the most famous and effective soldier in all of ancient history. Unlike the citizen soldiers of Greece, the Roman legionary, especially after the Marian reforms, was a long-term professional. He was a master of engineering as much as fighting, building bridges, fortified camps, and siege works with incredible speed and efficiency. His equipment was standardized and practical. The iconic segmented armor, Lorica segmentata, the large rectangular shield, scutum, the short-stabbing sword, gladius, and two throwing javelins, pila. In battle, the legionary was a versatile and disciplined force. The Roman legion was organized into cohorts and maniples, allowing it to be far more flexible on the battlefield than the rigid phalanx. They could adapt to different terrains and enemy tactics, operating in smaller, independent units if needed. The initial volley of pila would disrupt the enemy charge, and then the legionaries would close in for brutal, close-quarters combat with the gladius. For centuries, the discipline, training, and engineering prowess of the Roman legions were the foundation upon which the Roman Empire was built and maintained. Of course, the ancient world was filled with countless other remarkable warrior cultures. Let's journey north to the lands of Gaul and Britannia, home to the Celts. Often depicted as wild, undisciplined barbarians by the Romans, this is a gross oversimplification. Celtic warriors were fierce and courageous, famous for their intimidating war cries and their use of chariots in battle, a tactic long abandoned by Mediterranean powers. They were skilled metalworkers, crafting magnificent longswords and intricate armor. While they often lacked the state-level organization of Rome, their passion and love for freedom made them formidable opponents. Leaders like Vercingetorix in Gaul and Boudicca in Britain rallied their people in massive uprisings that severely tested the limits of Roman power, proving that the warrior spirit burned brightly beyond the borders of the great empires. Let's not forget the mounted warriors who dominated the vast steppes of Eurasia. Peoples like the Scythians and later the Huns were masters of horseback riding and archery. The steppe nomad was practically born in the saddle. Their primary military tactic was the hit-and-run raid. A swarm of horse archers would descend upon an enemy, unleashing clouds of arrows before wheeling away, refusing to engage in close combat. They could wear down and demoralize much larger, heavier armies. Their mobility was their greatest weapon, allowing them to strike deep into enemy territory and disappear before a response could be organized. The threat posed by these nomadic horsemen, particularly the Huns in the 4th and 5th centuries AD, played a significant role in the great migrations of peoples and the eventual collapse of the Western Roman Empire. They were a force of nature, a storm from the east that reshaped the map of the world. From the disciplined legionary to the wild Celtic warrior, from the hoplite phalanx to the Scythian horse archer, the ancient world was a tapestry woven with threads of conflict and courage. These warriors and their methods of warfare weren't just about conquest. They were reflections of their societies, their values, and their technologies. Their stories are a testament to human ingenuity, discipline, and the enduring will to fight for what they believed in, be it an emperor, a city, or freedom itself. Studying them helps us understand not just how empires rose and fell, but the very foundations of military strategy and the unyielding nature of the human spirit in the face of conflict. Their legends are carved into the stones of history, a permanent reminder of the age of ancient warriors. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through the battlefields of antiquity. I hope you found it as fascinating as I do. What ancient warrior culture do you find most interesting? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to History of the Ancient World for more explorations into our incredible past. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next adventure. Until next time, stay curious.